Hello, and welcome to Chords of Conversation, presented by me, Davis Lynch, with a very, very special guest, Florencia from Florencia and the Feeling. All right, thank you so much to Florencia from Florencia and the Feeling for joining me on today's episode of Chords of Conversation with me, Davis Lynch. I'm super honored to have you on. You are such an amazing performer and, of course, the winner of On the Rise, which is amazing. What did winning On the Rise mean to you and to your band for On the Rise Floyd Fest for the viewers who don't know?
Yeah, so we met at Floyd Fest, me and
Yes.
Davis. And I was probably giving you a flyer that said when our dates were that we were days that we were performing at Floyd Fest, and a sticker that says I voted for Florence and the Feeling. So
Yep.
it was amazing. I mean, the whole festival was just such it was an honor to be there. Even I don't know how many times you've been, Davis. That was our first time.
I've been a few times, but yeah, you
Okay,
guys,
cool.
that's crazy. It's your first time. You guys.
Yeah, it was our first time. We've been to definitely some other festivals in Virginia, but that was the first
Mhm.
time at Floyd Fest. And I mean, it has a certain fame around it for a reason. I mean, it's an incredible festival, just a place that was so full of love and excitement and joy. And so we were excited to be a part of it anyway. And then to actually win the On the Rise competition means so much to us. Partially because some of the people that we look up to in this industry have won, and it feels crazy to be just accepted into that little
Yeah.
realm as well. Like Palmyra a couple years ago, and Fordham and Winchester a couple years before that, and also just the fact that so many people believed in us and wanted us to win and voted for us. I mean, it's just insane. It feels like such a huge honor and very exciting. We're hoping that a lot of people find out about us through this as well, and more people can come to our shows and listen to our music and become part of the Feelers family.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, you guys are so entertaining when I saw you. Liar, liar was stuck in my head for like, it's still stuck in my head. Even like weeks later. Like, I'm still like in the shower, like, liar, liar. Um, but
I love it.
you
It's
guys,
so
like the stage presence and everything. I had a feeling, like, no pun intended, you guys would win because I don't know,
oh.
when you brought out like the couch and you laid on that, like everything was so fun.
It was crazy. That was actually our first time doing the couch. We've
Really?
talked about it before, but I mean, that being at a festival where we could have like a blow up couch. For those of you who weren't there, we brought out a like inflatable couch, like camping couch, on stage before our new song "Couch Hangin'," which I'll plug a little bit as well in a second. But
Of course, yes.
we brought it out, and then during the solo, I just like fell back on top of it. And I was like really nervous to do that too because I had no idea what was gonna happen, if it was just gonna go poof, and I just fell on the ground like nothing. So it was crazy, and it worked out. It was so fun. We as musicians, I said this yesterday on a little live that I did, but like we very much we try to give our best to every show. Of course, we've played in front of, I mean, countless times, played in front of five or less people, as well as had amazing shows where we're playing in front of 1,200 people and things like that. We try to give the same energy wherever we are because you never know who's watching, and also we have so much fun playing these songs that it's almost impossible for us not to enjoy it, which is amazing. That's one of the best things about this band. But also, when you are in front of a crowd that is listening and just so into it and giving you all this energy back like that crowd was both days, really, on Friday and Saturday. It's just another game, and we feel like we can elevate ourselves to that next level of excitement and energy as well.
Nice, yeah. Do you feel like performing in a large crowd, you're more nervous or less nervous than a small crowd? Because like I know some artists feel like the small crowd is a lot more intimate, so that can be more nerve-wracking than a big
I
crowd or
think
vice
so
versa.
too. You know what? I actually do agree with that.
Mhm.
We've done it. We played around 250 shows, so we've done it a lot. There's definitely
Mhm.
some shows that we still feel nervous about. And I think like right before the show moment, I probably am more nervous for a small crowd too, because it's just
Mhm.
like, okay, it's just them watching us and us watching them, like
Yeah.
versus when you kind of are, you can't really make out individual faces, or you
Mhm.
can, but like you can scan a lot of faces, kind of thing. Or like we talk to our crowds too, so it's like, how you guys doing tonight? And one person's like, good. You're like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
this is awkward. But we still have fun, and that's the
Mhm.
most important thing. But definitely, I do think that I agree with that. A little bit more nerves before
Mhm.
the smaller shows.
I get that. Yeah, I do some like performing, just like open
Oh,
mic nights and stuff. And yeah, when it's like
awesome.
when there's two people there, it is definitely a little bit more like, okay, it's like these two people are watching me versus
Yeah,
like
it's
the
like
bigger
we're in
crowd.
this
Be like,
together, guys. So, like, let's have
exactly.
fun. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
us now.
But sometimes it's nice, like you get a very intimate connection with those people as long as they're receptive and
There's also part. I mean, there's been a couple times where like we played like an hour and a half at our last kind of like dead show, and I was just sitting there like, gosh, I start to get self-conscious. Like, if they want to leave, like they can leave. They don't have to stay just because they're the only people there. Actually, even said that before stupidly. It's not what you're supposed to say, but they were like, no, 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 we want to be here. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, it's like, oh gosh, this is just rough.
yeah.
But it is fun. And we still had a great time at that show. And sometimes, even those moments where like, hey, even if we're putting on a show for like the sound people and the light people, they're enjoying themselves and that means a
True,
lot
yeah.
too.
Exactly. And in terms of like songwriting for your band, who generally writes the songs? Is it super collaborative? And then do you like start with the lyrics, melody, feeling overall? I know that's kind of a big question.
When this band started out, we were doing a lot of my own compositions. I had kind of a catalog of 12 or so original songs that I wanted to bring to the group. And of course, we needed songs. We were starting out. So we kind of just used those songs. Some of them had arrangements already, and some of them we created the arrangements together. And that was the first album, Birthday, one that's already out on the streaming platforms and on CD and everything. Except for two songs, the intro and the outro, we did all collaborate on. Pretty much from then on, we've been doing mostly collaborative. There's definitely been a couple of songs, like one we released a couple months ago called Getting on a Plane. That one was mostly me, that I like had a song, had a structure that I felt like would really work for this project. So I came to the guys and then we all kind of arranged it together and added our own thing. Pretty much every other song that we've been working on has been a collaboration. Sometimes, like Nick, the bass player, will bring a chord progression, and then to that chord progression, we will add another chord progression for like a chorus or whatever next part we wanted to write together. Sometimes we'll write the melodies together. Sometimes I'll just take that chord progression home and be like, I think, hum something over it. This sounds good. And then I've been trying to get everybody to work on lyrics together too. And that's a little bit harder because
Mhm.
obviously it's not easy. I mean, just especially when the way we've been doing it the last couple of songs, we've had this chord progression, we had this melody, and now we're trying to get the lyrics to fit this melody, which is
Mhm.
probably the most challenging way to do that. But
Mhm.
also, it's my favorite way to do it because I feel like it's a guideline, that I can follow and kind of fall
Music
into.
like drives the story, I guess,
Exactly.
in a sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. That's what we did the last couple of times, and the times that we have written lyrics together, it's usually been like in the van on the way to somewhere. So like the last time we played a song on Saturday at Floyd Fest called Space Between, and hopefully we're gonna release that one next year at the beginning of next year.
Nice.
But it's a song all about the crazy times we're living in and how at a music festival, poignantly, you can kind of get together and it says like the chorus says, "For the ones who choose to sing, find us in the space between," and that's what we're calling the space between. Is like this area where all these music lovers and expressors and things like that come together and can be together and
That's
can,
beautiful. Yeah, that
yeah,
gave
it's
me like
awesome.
goosebumps. Yeah, because
Oh, I
I
love it.
mean,
And that's how it feels too. And that's why I've been trying to tell everybody in the world that they should go to a music festival because it's just another planet, it feels like. Which is
it
kind of
does.
why we came up with that too. It's got a little bit of like an outer space theme. But anyway, the whole reason I said that, we wrote the lyrics to that on our way to West Virginia to play a show. I think it was like 3 or 4 hours away, and we are like, all right, guys, this is our goal for today. We are going to write the lyrics of this song. And we did. So we ended up writing a full verse and chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus. And then after that, we either have to wait until the next time we can write together like that, or sometimes I'll just go ahead and finish the lyrics.
Mhm.
And, then we'll refine it together in rehearsal and that kind of thing. So mostly collaborative is really what we've been
Mhm.
doing. And actually, we have a new album coming out, which we're really excited about. I'll just give you the scoop because I don't know
Yeah,
when this is coming out,
please.
but probably we'll announce this next week. So November 7th, we are releasing our brand new album that is all collaborative, all recorded and, well, mostly recorded by us and produced by us. So
Wow.
it's been really cool to do that process together and kind of build that. But almost all of those songs are going to be, like I said, collaborative, the songs that we
Mhm.
created together. And so it's really cool. It's a new new kind of version of Florencia and the Feeling.
And how did the band come together? Was it, did you bring in each member, or how did that work?
So I grew up in Johnson City, which is where I am now and where we're based. I moved away for about 10 years, but I knew the bass player and the drummer in high school. They
Mhm.
were like not necessarily friends, but we were all kind of acquaintances and we all just knew each other. It's a small town kind of thing. And then I moved to Ecuador during that
Oh,
time.
cool.
And I started my project of like my own original music during that time. I recorded an
Mhm.
EP down there and started playing shows. And then Corazon Latino Festival, which is a Latin American festival here in Johnson City, they reached out to try and get me to play while I was living there, but play here. So while I did that, I reached out to some friends I knew, and one of them was the bass player who now plays in the band. Then, so when I moved back during the pandemic to Johnson City and had, the like itch to play music again, I was like, well, I'll just reach out to him. And I knew that he played another band with the drummer, my now drummer, Austin. So that's Nick Castro plays bass and Austin Heron on the drums. And so I got together with them to play because I had another gig offer and I was like, let's work something up. I mean, we immediately hit it off as friends. It was like February 2021 and we were just having a rehearsal, ended up staying up until like 4 a.m. that night and just hanging out and laughing and having a great time, and
The
then
best
played a
when it
few more
happens naturally.
shows. I know it did. It felt like it happened naturally for sure. And we played a few more shows and had a blast. And I was at that point kind of in between careers. And my bass player was like, well, if you want, you should just work part time and we can go touring this summer. And I was like, yes. So he booked us like 30 shows that
Oh,
summer.
wow.
And we did. I mean, we just started hitting the road. He had a van. They had actually like I said, been in a band called Dr. Ocular, and their lead singer had moved to Nashville just because of circumstances around the pandemic and finding a job. They had a van, they had a PA system. They just needed, like, it was just the drum and bass player. They needed a lead singer. So,
That's great. So it was
so
kind of set up and you just kind of jumped
exactly.
in a sense.
I just jumped
That's
in,
awesome.
and then a couple months later, I had seen our keyboard player on Instagram and knew he was local, and I was like, "Oh, I think you should play with us," and he was down, and then and eventually added a guitar player as well, and yeah, and then it just grew.
Do you see music as like a means for spiritual growth? I know for me, like when I write a song, it's very personal and kind of spiritual to me. But I was just wondering, is there a relation to you between like spiritual growth and music?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's such a beautiful question, too. Thank you for
Thank you.
asking that. Yes. I think it's so hard for me because I've always loved music. I don't even know how to describe this, but I guess from when I was 2 years old, I was already like singing, and my dad was like, "She's got a good voice," and because both of my parents are singers, and not professionally, but always as a hobby. And so they loved music and instilled that in me from a really young age. So I feel like almost I've never been able to separate myself from music. And music feels like it's a part of me and like a faction of my personality. And so I believe that music is just a part of my spirit and my soul. Like there is no Florencia without music and singing. Even
Mm.
when I graduated high school and I wanted to start a career or whatever, parents were a little hesitant about me going into just music because they're immigrants. They moved here from Argentina and they wanted to make sure I had some semblance of job security for the future.
Mhm.
I can't blame them for that. And so they encouraged me to go into music therapy. And so actually what I do now for my day job is a music therapist. Even in that, there was never a part of me that thought that I could do anything that was not related to music because it's my
Mhm.
favorite thing in the world. And definitely I think that songwriting started and continues to be how I process my own emotions and process my own life. And then it's been cool to do it collaboratively too because it makes it a little bit more of a connected thing. It's not only my life now, it's also my bandmates' lives. And then sometimes, I can see how it affects the audience that listens to us, also thinking about their lives and things
Mhm.
like that too. I definitely think it's all about spiritual growth and catharsis, which is also why I love music therapy because I teach that and instill that in my own patients too. I mean, we write
Nice.
songs all the time, and sometimes they're goofy songs, like on Christmas Day, I'm gonna bake cookies and open lots of presents or things like that.
Yeah.
But teaching them to express themselves through music, I think,
Mhm.
is one of the missions in my life. I think.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I really like that. I guess for some people who don't really exactly know what music therapy is, could you just explain that a little bit? Maybe what you do on like a daily basis with that?
Sure. So, music therapy is using music to address non musical goals. So, that could be anything. A lot, it could be physical, it could be mental, it could be emotional, developmental, academic, intellectual support, memory support. So a lot of people, I'm sure, have seen videos of like a person in the residential facility that puts the earbuds on and all of a sudden they like come awake. And I have done that. I've definitely done groups with older adults. And I've done private practice. A lot of times I would work with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities to work on specific goals for them. Maybe it was attention, maybe it was communication, but using music as a tool, because music is, for most people, it's an innate motivator. Like
Mhm.
if you were to sing The Wheels on the Bus Go, and then people say round and round because everybody knows it. It's something
Mhm.
that's communal to everyone. Or like da 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 da. And then they would often say, ah, they know what comes next. So it's something that's really ingrained in all of us. So it helps to become a motivator for different goals as well. Right now, actually, I am really lucky. I am the music therapist at the St. Jude affiliate clinic at my
Oh,
local hospital. So I work with pediatric cancer patients that they go to St. Jude for their initial treatment, and then they come back to have their weekly treatments for the rest of their chemotherapy at our hospital. And I get to see them once a week. My main goal with music therapy with them is just to help them forget about what they're going through and help them process what they're going through if they're old enough for it and ready for it. And we make lots of music and have lots of fun, pretty much. We play guitar, piano, ukulele, we dance. I even like
nice.
brought in some disco lights lately, and they'll be like,
Oh, cool.
dancing time, and I'm like, okay, we'll put in the disco lights and we just have a rave in our in the
That's
music
so
room.
cool. Yeah, that's got to be
Yeah,
really
or
powerful.
sometimes, like I was saying, we write songs using GarageBand or just using our instruments, and there's just all kinds of things.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really cool.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome work. Yeah.
I feel so lucky to be in this position because honestly, it's a great place to work.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
same energy, believe it or not, that same energy that I bring on stage, I bring it to
Mhm.
them too. And they're like,
I bet.
calm down, Florencia.
Like, you're so mad.
Yeah, people,
No.
their parents are like, I cannot believe you are jumping around like they are. And I'm like, I don't know how to stop. Like, I
No,
really
that's how you should be. Yeah,
cannot.
be unapologetically yourself, because like
Yes, exactly.
that's how to stay true to yourself and have like I don't know, have fun, have a good life.
We do. That's what we're on here and on this planet for, in my opinion, is just
Yeah,
to enjoy ourselves and help each other and have fun.
I agree.
Your room is so beautifully decorated. I'm
Oh, thank
amazed.
you.
I'm
Thank
having
you
so
so
much fun looking at all the different things.
much. Yeah, I have like stuff all over my walls.
I love it. That's so cool.
Thanks. And you talked about your album Birthday earlier. What was the process like writing that, coming up with the ideas for it, recording it? I know you said it was collaborative, but do you have anything
Mm.
else to share?
Definitely. Oh, well, one of the coolest things about that album in particular was that we were just starting out. At least we had been touring for 2 years. We wanted to release music. We wanted to release an album, but like most bands, we were broke. We didn't have the money to just pour into it immediately. So we actually did a Kickstarter for that.
Oh,
And we're able to raise $10,000 in 30 days, which
wow.
was crazy. We used that money to pay a producer to record and produce our album. His name is Martin Walters, and he is the jazz director at East Tennessee State University here, but also is a longtime jazz musician and really amazing producer and sound engineer. So we were really lucky to work with him, and he's just like 15 minutes away, which was
Oh,
crazy.
cool.
Yeah, he's worked with people like Esperanza
Convenient.
Spalding and, oh, I can't
Wow.
remember the name, but several different bands that are really well known, and done some arranging for them too. So it's really cool. Like I said, we had the catalog of songs that we wanted to record, but then we kind of took each one and kind of broke it down. Even though we had been playing these songs for a year and a half, we knew that for the arrangements, we wanted them to be like a little bit different, a little bit better, and a little bit more dense for what we were going to release. Of course, we wanted it to be a lot cooler than what people had just heard us play. So we really broke each part down in every song. It was a really fun process. And then we just batch recorded them 3 or 4 songs at a time. And over the course of 2023, we had an album. Or no, I guess 2022. And then in early 2023, we released the whole album.
Cool. And how did you come up with the name Birthday for it?
Well, one of the songs is called Birthday. It was the only song that would fit it as a title that we wanted to fit as a
Uh-huh.
title. It was also kind of, our first album, so it was like kind of like our birth, which is like the
Yeah.
weirdest
Yeah,
feeling,
no,
right?
that's cool.
But that was something that we thought of and joked about too. And then once we started like putting the imagery together of the cover with us like at a birthday party, and also
Mhm.
everybody kind of having a good time and me kind of bummed out because most of the songs on the album I wrote after a pretty intense breakup, and a lot of them were like anger mixed with justification, mixed with like vindication and revenge, you know. So it's particularly even birthday, you know, because I guess that song is about this person who I was with. He just like didn't forget about my birthday, but did not care about my birthday or act any certain like it was any different day. And that was like the one thing that I was like, I really like, I'd love to be celebrated today. And then
Yeah, that's
he
your
just didn't.
birthday.
Yeah, exactly, right? Everybody should be. But I mean, that was like one of thousands of things that he did wrong. But that, so it became a song, and it wasn't just me. There was a few other people that had been kind of slighted on their birthdays, so I wrote that song for them.
And then who are some of your like biggest inspirations in music or outside of
Man,
music?
Stevie Wonder. Everybody who knows me
Nice.
personally, or even probably has seen a show, know how much I love Stevie Wonder.
Hmm.
He is just a musical genius, but the kind of musical genius who is genius enough to make his music palatable for everybody, which is just so
True.
incredible and something that we aspire to. Or a lot of us have jazz backgrounds or jam backgrounds, and so we end up feeling like we want to throw different chords into our progressions rather than just sticking with the diatonic a lot of times, which is nothing wrong with that, but obviously that's just what we like. And so we always try to do that in the way that Stevie Wonder does, like putting our spin on it, but also making it something that is not necessarily digestible for us. We're still musicians, and we know it. Like people who are musicians like us because they like music, right?
Yeah.
But also it's something that most people can dance along to or can
Hmm.
feel. A current band who is a huge inspiration for me is Sammy Ray and the Friends from Boston. They are phenomenal, and I love her energy. I mean, she's just like, it's crazy. I mean, she's crazy. A level beyond, I mean, a human, honestly, in terms of energy and like show performance. I also love Couch, Ella Fitzgerald, Frank
Yeah.
Sinatra. I mean, some of like the
Classic.
classic jazz people. Love the Beatles. In
Yeah.
fact, I just learned to play guitar just by playing through a Beatles chord
Oh,
book
really?
when I was 15. Yeah, that was just like, you had the chords there, and I would learn the chord, and I'd play the song, and that's how I learned to play chords.
Cool.
I love also like Supertramp, Bee
Hmm.
Gees, and ELO, a lot of the 70s bands.
Amy Winehouse, do you like her?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely Amy Winehouse. Yeah, it's like I'm like I should be reading off a list
Yeah.
because my mind blanked, but definitely Amy Winehouse.
I've just been so into her recently. That's why I
Oh,
asked. And like
I definitely
especially
have.
her debut album, like that one gets slept on, but I really liked Frank. It was good.
It's so good. I know. Is Tears Dry on their own? The original version on that one?
No, I don't think so. I think that's a later
Okay, that's a later one. There was like a slow version of that one before it came out on Back to Black. It's just such a good one, and I mean, just
Yeah.
all of it. And that's
Yeah,
the
that
one that
one's good.
has
I know what you're
Energy
talking
Pumps on it, right?
about. Hmm.
That's a good one. She's
Yeah.
just amazing, incredible. I've been really into Carole King lately as well. She is so good, and I listened to her audiobook, which she narrates herself, which was just so epically awesome hearing her tell her own story. Another incredible female musician that really inspires me for sure.
You have such an incredible stage presence and vibe up there. Did you kind of get that from your inspirations?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to say Queen, which is another massive inspiration for
Mm-hmm.
me. I do think it's definitely gotten better, I will say. You know, practice makes perfect. When I look back at the videos from like 2021 when we were just starting out, you can see I'm nervous. And now when I go on stage, I definitely feel a lot less nervous and a lot more like I just kind of click into the stage persona that I am, which is very similar to me. It's not like I'm very different on stage. I think that, you know, the more I do it, the more I'm like ready to like lock into the stage presence and like the energy that's required. The reason why I thought of Queen is like Freddie Mercury. I mean, just him running all around the stage and
Yeah.
commanding the audience is just like a huge inspiration. Sammy Ray for sure. I also love Manhattan Transfer. They're like a four-piece vocal jazz group, but they definitely inspired a lot of stage presence for me. And I think like a lot of like disco artists too, Diana Ross, learning to command an audience is such a learned practice. Some people maybe have a natural gift, and I think I do in some sense. Like I've always loved being on stage. Like even when I was a little
Hmm.
girl, I would pretend like I was on stage. Like my mom
Like
would tell
dancing
the
around on the
story.
bed kind of thing.
Oh yeah, or in
Yeah, I do
Newburgh.
that all
I
the time. I
remember.
would do that all the
Well,
time.
you do? Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. My mom came, like she was like working outside or something, and she like walked by the bay window in our old house when I was like 4 years old, and we
Mhm.
had a microphone stand, and I was like singing Shakira and had my leg wrapped around the microphone stand, and she was like, "Oh my God, like what am I in for right now?" I feel like so from even the young age, I loved it, and hop on my ottoman and just like sing a little bit,
Yeah.
jump off, and run around. Like it's so
Yeah,
great
I
to be
used to do
practicing
that all the
so hard.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. Oh, well, then you belong on stage too, Davis.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Definitely, but there are definitely inspirations for me. But the people who inspire me the most are the people who look like they're having fun. I think that's one of the things that we aspire to do, and it's easy for us because there's very few times where we're not having fun on stage. There was one time when we were like attacked by bugs. That was one time when we were not very having a very fun time on stage. But other than that, most of the time we have a really good time. It's easy to portray that. At Floyd Fest, somebody came up to us and was like, "We love seeing bands that really look like they're having a good time on stage because my number one pet peeve is going to a show and everyone's just standing there and just like playing their instruments." And
I know, because it's like you
true.
can
I
at least
honestly,
like move a little, like at least
yeah,
move to
I
the groove of
know.
the music. But
And obviously, it depends on the genre too. Like our
that's
genre is
true.
obviously very upbeat dance, but there is still something. I mean, there's stage presence, obviously, even if you aren't dancing around. There's just that kind of like knowing that that person is thrilled by or enjoying what they're doing.
Hmm.
That's massive for me. So those are the people who inspire me the most.
Yeah, I was at Hinterland Music Festival this past weekend, and
What's that?
it's a music festival in Iowa. Sierra Farrell was there, if you know her, or Lana Del Rey was like the big act. That just made me think of it because there were like some artists that were just standing there. With Lana, it was kind of interesting because she would stand there, but it was also like very theatrical around her. So it's just like it's so funny to see like the different ways that people incorporate stage presence into their work, whether it's with them or like, and then other people were just like jumping around, like going into the crowd kind of things. And so it's just,
Yes.
it's so cool to see the different ways that people interact with their audience.
And there's different ways to do it, and there's different ways to have your audience understand that like you're loving this, like this is
Hmm.
what you want to do, and that's the most important thing is that they know that you are having a good time. And I do think the theatrics is really cool. I mean, lights shows obviously help too a lot. And one of the things
Hmm.
that we started doing just literally a couple weeks ago, we started putting those little disco mirror hearts on our microphone stands, and I
Ah,
like disco tiled my microphone stand and my
mhm.
microphone. Even those little things, that they're little details,
Little touches
but
that
they
add
have. Yeah, we've gotten so many compliments on it, and it really adds a lot. It's just the intentions. Nowadays, a show is not just a show, and it's kind of a little bit of a bummer because also, like, we don't want to make life harder for any artists at this time because it's hard enough, but it is an experience, and like right now, everybody's selling experiences, and in order to be there and really compete with this in this market, you do want to sell an experience. You want
Mhm.
people to go to your show and be like, damn, I really got my money's worth. That was amazing.
Yeah,
And so those are just tiny ways that you can elevate a little bit, I
that's
feel
true.
like. And
Mhm.
we're working on that too.
That reminds me, I did like just like a little coffee shop performance, and I like wrapped my mic stand in fake plants and stuff, and like got a
I love it.
even though there was like a few people there, it's still like I wanted to kind of do the extra little steps like that. So
And
that's
they
cool.
will
Like,
remember that. They will
yeah.
remember that. Because you taking yourself seriously and doing that is speaks volumes, like, to the people that were there, and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna go see him again. It's
Thanks.
like it matters. It matters so
Mhm.
much, and that's really cool that you did that. And especially, how many shows have you played, if you don't mind me asking?
10 open mic nights or something like that.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, like that's what I'm saying. Like even just starting out, you already have the right idea. Like you're locking into your persona, what you want your art to look like, and
Yeah.
that's huge.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
And where do you see your band in 5 years? Where would you realistically kind of like to be in 5 years, or unrealistically?
Yeah. Okay. So I was gonna say, there's there's the there's the big budget dreams and the mid budget dreams. If we were to choose, if we could say we wanna get here, I think probably like a Lake Street Dive would be
Ooh.
an inspiration for kind of what we want to do.
Mhm.
Because we're on our 30s, we are under no illusion that we're going to be the next Chapel Roan or anything like that. But to be able to, it's not like Lake Street Dive is that much below that in terms of fame. I mean, they're a really well known group and they play theaters and they play some smaller arenas and things like that. I think to be able to be touring theaters and selling out 2,000 cap rooms, I mean, that would be like a dream come true for us. I think that would be like, oh, we made it. But I think the main goal and when we feel like we will have really made it is when we can all quit our day jobs. I think that's the biggest thing, like for everyone, right? Like we all work part time now, which is great. And honestly, like that enables us to be able to do what we do, which is tour on the weekends and play 50 or 60 shows a year and things like that. We wouldn't be able to do that if we worked full-time jobs,
Hmm.
especially because we get to go places. Like we go to Richmond, we go to Charleston. I'm just saying like the furthest around, even this
Hmm.
year we went to up to New York. So like to be able to do that, we have to work part-time. But
Hmm.
we want to be able to live from our music. I mean, be able to wake up and this is my dream, right? This is my
Uh-huh.
like Bambi dream, like to be able to wake up and, have some songwriting to do and have some
Hmm.
social media, but not have to actually like go to a day job. And not that I don't love my day job, I love my day job, but still, you know what I mean? To not have to divide our attention and our intention for the day between multiple things and just to be
Hmm.
like, well, this is my job, the band is my job. Yeah, you feel that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that would
know.
be like the dream, like to just wake up and songwrite and then have like a performance late in the evening and not have to like, worry about anything other than like your music and your performance. That
Yes.
seems so nice.
I know. And I wonder, even when I look at the bands that I idolize or that I feel like are there, I don't know. You never know. And that's one of the things that's so hard about the music industry is that it's just so opaque. You
It's
don't
so
Yeah.
unpredictable and like the Wild
Uh-huh.
West, sort of.
Exactly, exactly. And you don't really know what people are going through or what people are having to do to be
Mhm.
where they are. But that would be ideal for us to be able to really just focus on music. And even if that is touring full time and like going on months on the road and things like that, like we would love that actually. That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah,
To be able to have the freedom to do that. That's what our definition of making it and what we hope happens from the band.
that'd be incredible. Mhm.
It would be
I
incredible.
bet you guys are on the way. You're on the way there.
We'll see. It takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of a whole team, and right now we are the team mostly. We do have some help with booking, pretty much it actually. But
Mhm.
obviously we'd eventually like to have all the full team and stuff, but right now it takes us working our butts off to try and make it happen and having incredible moments like Floyd Fest and like winning the On the Rise competition, like it definitely feels like an affirmation of like that this is good. We're going in the right direction.
This is your path, kind of. Yeah. Out of any artist living or dead, who would your dream collaboration be? I feel like I kind of know the answer,
Oh,
maybe,
you know the answer.
on yeah, what you said about your inspirations earlier.
Totally. Yeah, Stevie Wonder, without a doubt.
Hmm.
I've never seen him live. I would die to see him live.
Hmm.
But also, if we had a collaboration, I would be deceased. I would be so happy. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just definitely Stevie Wonder. He's just the best. Oh, and
Um,
also maybe Jacob Collier because he's a fellow admirer of Stevie Wonder, and also
oh yeah.
a genius in himself.
Hmm.
But he's the one other. I always say he's the one other person who loves Stevie Wonder as much as I do.
Yeah, he does like a lot of like inner crowd interaction sort of stuff too, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, he's definitely an inspiration in that. I mean, he's just an inspiration like life. He's just an amazing person and
Hmm.
musician. But yeah, he's the one that like does like
Yeah, they're like, you do this with the
fires
note,
the
and then you.
chord and then yes, it's
Mhm.
so cool.
That is
Changes
really
the
cool.
chord. Like I used to do that when I was in choir, but I've never done it in like an audience before. Like that's
Hmm.
just amazing.
That is, yeah, that's crazy. What brought you to
Okay.
music, and what inspires you to keep going?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, my parents, I would say, instilled a love of music in me from a really young age. Also, I
Hmm.
think the fact that they're Latin American, they're from Argentina. In Latin America in general, a lot of celebrations end up with like a guitarreada, which is essentially like everybody brings out their guitar and they all sing the same songs. They all sing the songs they know. For me, growing up, every birthday, holiday, would end up looking like my parents bringing out the guitars and everybody singing together. And I think that's where it really all started. Plus, my dad introducing the Beatles, Stevie Wonder, Supertramp, all these bands to me at a young age. I think that's where it began. And then they put me in choir because I knew I could sing and I knew I loved to sing. And then it just kind of spiraled from there. It was like, this is just nothing else I'd rather be doing. And how I keep going or why I keep going. Sometimes I'm like, why do I keep going? I wrote the song called What Can I Do? It's on all streaming platforms. And I actually cried listening to it the other day because of all the affirmations that I've been feeling lately of just like that this is the right path. But essentially tells a story about how I wanted to be a musician, I wanted to be a singer, and then I moved away from it for a little while, thinking that I couldn't do it. That I couldn't record music or write music or release music. And then somebody was like, "Yeah, you can," and so I did. And then it was like, okay, I can do this. And then ever since that happened in 2018 when I released my first EP, and so on, it feels like everything I've done in my life has just been me being brought back to music. It's like the universe was just like saying, no, 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 this is your dream, this is what you're supposed to do, this is what you're supposed to do. And also myself being like, this is what I want to do, like this is what I always wanted to do. Why did I ever feel like I had to do something else? And there's a lot of things, obviously there's a lot of factors, but
The world, society, expectations, all that.
oh yeah, all of that, exactly that. And it took 33 years, but now I know that like not only is it, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, but like I don't ever want to be without music. I don't ever want to be not playing music. And that
Mhm.
may look different, not, not the large stages. It may look like and it may look like a million different things, right? I know that I always want to perform. I always want to sing. I always want to write because it's my favorite thing in the world to do. And we only get one short life, so might as well do
Sure.
your favorite thing that you can do and
Yeah.
just make it work for you.
Yeah, I saw a quote the other day that's just like reminding me of that. It was something about like you can fail at something you don't want to do, so you might as well do the thing you want to do. And if you fail,
Exactly.
it's at least you did something you liked rather than like failing at
Exactly.
something you hated.
Exactly. That's so true. Yeah, there's so many opportunities for like failure in this industry, and there's so many crazy things that happen, and you're like, what the heck? Like, this is for
Yeah.
real? But at least you're doing something you love, and
Hmm.
that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Even the other day, I was talking to my drummer, which is now my husband as well, and I was like, tell me, am I doing the right thing? And he was like, you're doing what you want to do, and that's the most important thing. And I was like, damn, that's so true. So
Yeah.
exactly that. So
No, I feel that though. Like it always feels so much bigger. I'm like, wait, am I doing like the wrong thing? Do I need to like redirect myself? Do I need to go down a big different path or something? And then it's like, it's okay. Just reminding myself I have time. It'll work out if it's
totally.
supposed to, kind of thing.
And when things get really bad, I remind myself that we're all here floating on this space rock, and
I do too. No, that's
yeah,
what I always do. I'm like, we're just over-evolved monkeys on a rock in the middle of like nothingness, and like
exactly. Like
nothing matters
this is not
really.
a big deal.
Yeah,
Exactly. Just
exactly.
do what you want with this life, and it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
Exactly. And then I just have one more question. It's if you could give one piece of advice to your past self when you were starting out in music, what would that advice be?
That definitely has to do with all of this. There's one thing that I would say, and I would say it to anybody who is starting out in music: just follow your dreams. I think if there's something that you feel, and it could be anything, it doesn't have to be just music. If there's one thing in your life that you're like, I love doing this, I am passionate about doing this, even if it's not something that you do for a job, but it's something that you want to fill your time, let it fill all your time. There's so many things that we can be distracted with in this life, and then the life goes by like this, and you're like, but I was supposed to be doing this whole time. I wanted to do this whole time, I read a book called 4,000 Weeks at the beginning of this year, and it's kind of all about that. It's like we only have 4,000 weeks in our life, in our lifespan, the average lifespan. And it doesn't sound like that much time,
Scary.
right? And it's kind of
Yeah.
like that's part of it is the shock of like, dang, that's crazy. That also helped kind of just realign. And, I can spend, even in this sphere of music and the music industry, it's like I can spend 2 hours working on a post and like that people that will fly by like this, or I can just like post something, anything, and then just go do what I actually want to do, which is play a song or write or, things like that. If I were to talk to like the teenager that was about to go into college, and I love music therapy and I'm grateful that I did it, and I definitely don't feel regret, I
Mhm.
think I would have said, go to music school and do what you want with that. And then after that, then you can decide if you want to continue, or you could do music therapy afterwards. If you feel the pull of something so strongly, don't shy away from that, no matter how scary it is, because you'll never regret going after that. And my other piece of advice is don't get a full-time job if you want to be a musician.
Yeah. No, that's good advice.
Because that will suck, it will suck your soul,
Yeah,
and you will
yeah.
not have time for music.
Mhm. Yeah, that's very true. No, that advice kind of hits home for me a little bit too, because I went into music business as like my major because I'm in college right now. So I have just finished my freshman year with music business because I wanted like a bit more of a safety net. I also like don't really know the business, so I want to know some of that. But it's also like sometimes kind of is like, oh, I wish I was just writing songs right now instead of learning about taxation and music business.
Yes. Well,
But
it's funny though because yeah, I mean it's funny because like even if you were in a music degree, you wouldn't probably be doing a whole lot of writing songs unless it was a
that's true.
commercial music degree. I've never done that. But like you would be learning music theory, music history,
Mhm.
music, and which is probably some stuff you're doing anyway. Sometimes it's like college degree in general in music is questionable. I mean, I'm treading on some feathers in saying that, but definitely I think just learning as much as possible in regards to music is always helpful. And music business is definitely going to be helpful, but definitely don't lose the side of you that's writing, that wants to write and wants to perform. And I love that to hear that you're doing open mics. That was how I got started in the last city that I lived in, where didn't know anybody, and I made a lot of amazing connections. So I definitely think that's like the best thing.
Thank you so much to Florencia from Florencia and the Feeling for joining me today on this episode of Chords of Conversation with me, Davis Lynch. I had such a great time talking with you today. It was such an honor.
Thank you so much for having me, Davis. I can't wait to see more of your stuff and where you go and where your music goes.
Thank you. And sadly, that concludes our episode for today. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in and watched the entire video. And thank you so much to Florencia from Florencia and the Feeling for being willing to chat with me and talk about music.